evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Beacon Board of Education. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Larry Cohen.
Here.
Betsy Dennis.
Delete.
Jennifer Edge.
Absent.
Tracy Antelek Everett. Here. Christine Galvo.
Here.
Frank Garnett.
Here.
Georgia Patchen.
Here.
Phil Zoff.
Delayed.
Melissa Thompson.
Here. Dr. Doyle, would you review the fire exits, please?
Yes, we have the two fire exits located to the rear of the LGI.
I ask that we stand for a moment of silence for Mrs. Joan Marie Kelly, former teacher aide in the Beacon City School District. Thank you. Dr. Doyle, would you like to introduce our workshop tonight?
Yes, actually I guess I'm supposed to be introducing Mr. Mulhern, who's going to start our workshop.
Good evening, and thanks for the opportunity to present. It is April, and April is Autism Awareness Month, and as has become a recent tradition here in Beacon, we have a Spectrum Parents Group that meets every month throughout the year, and for the last 3 years we've presented at the board meeting just to heighten everybody's awareness of what autism is, and also to talk about the relationship between the district and our students with autism. So a couple of things you need to know. One is we have 2 tables set up outside with lots of information, so if you get a chance tonight, stop by and pick up a flyer about autism. And I want to remind you that Sunday, this coming Sunday, is the annual Autism Walk at the Dutchess County Fairgrounds, and we will all be there, and as a matter of fact, quite a few of our teachers go to that. Alexander Novell, who's a junior at Beacon High School, is handing out some tokens that remind us about April as Autism Awareness Month. So there are a number of people who are going to speak for the next couple of minutes, and I'd like to introduce Alexander's mom, Mrs. Ruthie Novell.
Can you hear me? Good evening. My name is Ruthie Novell. I'm a parent of a student that attends Beacon High School. He's a junior, Alexander Novell. He has Asperger's. It's a form of autism. Autism is called neurological because it involves the brain. And the areas of the brain that are affected are learning, communication, and social skills. Last year, I had mentioned that the Center for Disease Control stated that 1 in 88 children were diagnosed with the autism spectrum disorder. Just recently, the CDC stated that 1 in 68 children are identified with autism spectrum disorder. Please note that this estimate is based on children living in 11 communities. It does not represent the entire population of children in the United States. This new estimate is roughly 30% higher than the estimate for 2008, which was 1 in 88. And then roughly 60% higher than the estimate for 2006, which was 1 in 110. And roughly 120% higher than the estimates of 2002 and 2000, which was 1 in 150. I don't know how you're feeling about these numbers, but I'm kind of disturbed. These numbers are closing in very rapidly. As I mentioned last year, and now that with the new autism data, you will continue to see even more students entering the Beacon City School District on the spectrum. Because of this, it's so important that you consider helping teachers and school personnel on how to meet our students, your students, our children's needs. The knowledge that they will receive will give them the opportunity to be able to reach out to our children. With this approach, you will allow them to enhance their knowledge and working with our children socially, academically, and emotionally. The results that you will see in these students will be amazing and rewarding. As a parent with a child on the autism spectrum, it's been a journey, and I've made it my mission to seek out knowledge on how autism may affect him, and also what services are available to assist him for success. Last year, I had mentioned to you that my son has made me a better person. He's taught me to have more patience and understanding, and I'm very thankful for that. I've also learned that when his anxiety levels and sensory difficulties are lowered, this gives him the opportunity to reach his highest potential and be successful right along with his own peers. Since my son has been attending the Beacon City School District, we have encountered wonderful teachers and school personnel that have worked with both myself and Alexander. They're also very hungry for more knowledge and working with their students on the autism spectrum. Ongoing training would be a great help to all school personnel. But parents have been hearing that it's kind of difficult to find the time for ongoing training. Because there are several superintendent meetings throughout the school year which teachers and school personnel are present, please keep in mind that this would be a perfect time to set aside for training. As I mentioned last year, we have a parents' autism group who have children that attend the Beacon City School District, and it's led by the Director of Pupil Personnel, Mr. Frank Mulhern. We meet once a month. We discuss how the parents and the Beacon City School District can work together to meet our children's individual needs so that they can reach their highest potential and be successful. Mr. Mulhern. Mr. Mulhern, on behalf of the parents group, we want to thank you for your continued support. I would like to end off, and as I always say, each year it's a win-win situation for all. The Beacon City School District can predict, prepare, plan for success to students on the autism spectrum. Teachers and school personnel with ongoing training, which would allow them the opportunity to enhance their knowledge and understanding and working and getting to know our children, your students on the autism spectrum. Parents will have the confidence that their children are learning to their fullest potential, are happy and safe in their learning environment. And our children, your students, will feel successful, safe, accepted, respected, and understood in school. With the information that I'm giving you tonight, I hope and I pray that you would stop and think about what a difference you would make in these children's lives. I also want to state that there are organizations and parents with life experience and knowledge that are willing to work with you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Alexander Parneville. I am a junior at Beacon High School. Also, I've attended the Beacon City School District since first grade. I have Asperger's. It is a form of autism. Autism is another way of being and thinking. Different, but not less. I am here to advocate for myself and other students on the autism spectrum. It is important to me that my teachers and our school personnel have knowledge and understanding and how autism can affect students. Learning, communication, social skills, anxiety, and sensory difficulties are examples of some challenges. For example, for myself, I'm sensitive to certain sounds which can be painful, and certain types of touch and I could easily become overloaded with anxiety. These are some examples of my challenges, not just in school, but in general. One school personnel has ongoing training on how to better work with students in the autism spectrum. The students' function of life and future will also smooth sailing ahead of them. Also, with our parents and school personnel working together, we will have a higher chance of success. With more school personnel understanding students in the autism spectrum, I feel the Beacon City School District can make a difference in students to learn better, feel more safe, and just like my own peers, we want to feel successful, respected, accepted, and understood. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Susanna Lutley. I live in 91 Mountain Lane. I am speaking today as both a parent of a child on the autism spectrum, specifically Asperger's, and as an employee of Beacon City School District. I work at JVS as a lunch aide, and I would like it to be known that in all my 6 years as a substitute teacher, on-call teaching assistant, and lunch aide, I have never been provided the opportunity to receive autism awareness training. I believe that as awareness is increasing, it is becoming increasingly important that all staff should be afforded the appropriate awareness training. If we are expected to provide the safest environment for our children, it is imperative that all staff and administrators attend any awareness training so that we can better manage the children who are entrusted to our care. We should not be told to not attend or be made to feel it is not necessary simply because someone is part-time or just an aide. Nor, as a parent, should we ever be told by an administrator or teacher that they don't have experience with Asperger's or the autism spectrum. Thank you.
We're just discussing because he's a hard act to follow, so going first, Jesse. Hi again, it's nice to see all of you. My name is Ginny Felia, and I'm head of youth services at the Howland Public Library right here in Beacon, a school district library, and we serve the Beacon City School District. I would like to take the opportunity tonight to speak as a community member, a partner in autism awareness. You will hear this, you have heard this tonight, and you'll hear it again, I'm sure, but the Center, as you know, for Disease Control and Prevention has estimated now that 1 in 68 children have been identified with autism spectrum disorder. That is a lot of children. Almost half of them have been identified. Who have been identified have an average of above normal or normal. On average, children identified were not diagnosed until after age 4, even though they had been, they were not identified until age 4, even though they have ability to diagnose by age 2 now. About 80% of children identified had a special education eligibility, excuse me. It's been a long day. I have to explain, it's World Book Day, and I was down at the training station all day giving out books and talking, so excuse me. But in any case, it does mean that about 20% had been documented symptoms in their records, but they had not been classified. But whether or not they are diagnosed, classified, or have special education qualifications, all of these children will eventually become young adults, leave high school, and enter the next stage of their lives. It is not only important for them to be prepared, but equally important for their communities to be prepared. The need for resources, support, mentors, and people who can help them have successful lives is crucial. Howland Library has a former Beacon High student, Rich Jewell, as a staff member. Rich has autism and began volunteering at the library while still in high school, participating in the School to Work program. After Rich graduated, this turned into a job, and in his third year now, his duties and hours have doubled. As you can see, we are very proud of him, and he does a great job in assisting both the staff and the patrons. But Rich is only one person. There are many, many more young people who need businesses and organizations to support them. Howland Public Library is involved in community awareness and education through our large collection of resources for families. Also for individuals on the spectrum and staff and educators working with these students. These resources are used very frequently by families and individuals, but I would like to make the district aware of the resources that we have for teaching staff. With that new statistic of 1 in 68, it is very likely that they will be working with students on the autism spectrum at one time or another. It's imperative that they understand these students and have the knowledge on how to enhance their education and school experience. This begins with education, of course. Please see our bibliography, by the way, out front at the tables on the subject, and please, I encourage people to feel free to use these free materials. As many of you know, Ruth Novell and I run a support social group for young people with ASD or other social challenges called Young Adult Connections. We're nearing the end of our third year, and we are proud to say that we have been very successful, as have our students, and it's also been a lot of fun. Our mission statement is, Young Adult Connections provides young people with a safe, supportive, non-judgmental environment so that they may express themselves, share their talents and passions, and be empowered to use these strengths to connect with their peers and their community. I believe that it is important for businesses and organizations to collaborate with the Beacon City Schools in order to facilitate a supportive post-high school transition for our young people on the autism spectrum. But it does begin with awareness and education. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Whenever I'm running late or show that I'm actually human and less than perfect, I used to have a meltdown and let it ruin the entire night, but now I try to use it as part of the act. When I was going down the road, I noticed that I was headed to a correctional facility, and the only time that's happened is in movies associated with urban legends. But apparently, so I pulled over and looked at my phone one more time, and GPS failed. And I also have not bothered to write a speech. The book that I've been working on for a solid year, like a hobbling marathon, was due on Monday. And no offense, but I thought that making sure typos were not in the book for the rest of my life was a little bit more important than preparing this speech. So I'll just pretend that I know what I'm talking about and try to make it as funny as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, there was nothing when I was growing up. There was no chances and no breaks. Every time there was a transition, it was always associated with horror, mistakes, misunderstandings, and fear. You should be very proud of yourselves that you're now giving my young peers a fighting chance. For one thing, we do know what autism is, particularly Asperger's. Asperger's was not recognized as a disability until 1994, and I was not diagnosed until age 14 in 1996. We must do a profound job of preparing your students for transitional periods, specifically ninth grade and preparing the year before in middle school. And during their senior year, even though they're obviously not in college, we must pretend that they're going to college the next day. Whenever I experienced the transition, there were always problems, and the damage was always irrevocable. All of a sudden, overnight, I learned that the harmless pursuit of a woman, an innocent schoolboy crush, would be seen as stalking in the adult world. I am still trying to recover from my start to adulthood and building back my careers in the teaching and human service field after a rough start 8 years ago. Most people have a difficult time letting go, but for many people on the autism spectrum, it is impossible and does not happen. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not have the ability to let go, and neither does a few of my peers, in fact. It's not every person with autism, but it is more common than not. But that is the source of my salvation. That is why I have succeeded. A lot of people with autism, their weaknesses will become their strengths, as long as you keep picking away at it and finding a path for them to succeed. Instead of letting go, you can teach them how to compromise, and compromise on the original compromise, and back off, and put something on the back burner, and understand that they can find unique solutions to problems that once seemed impossible. Due to my chronic ability of scheduling too many things in 1 week, I find myself chained to a computer all day long with absolutely no time at all to exercise, and the pounds kept coming. But after battling with it for a year, I now have installed a treadmill desk in my house, so now I can walk and type at the same time like a veritable writing monster. I call myself Writer! And I would imagine that you can find unorthodox solutions and get your students to contribute as well in their creativity of solving the problem. Even if that means slightly breaking the rules, such as having a squeeze ball when someone's taking a test, asking, what can we do to make this easy? We need you to help me help you. I remember when young Richie Jewell was giving a speech for the first time. He was so nervous that he could barely start, and I threw him one of my squeeze balls, and that solved the problem. Even when I started out as a public orator, I did not like people standing and hovering like this, so I asked people to sit down, and now I pretend that I'm an actor in Hamlet or something, and I would not stop the performance to tell someone to turn off their cell phone or deal with another annoyance. The best thing we can do is encourage my peers, your students, and your children to embrace their challenges and understand that they're going, I don't care, I'm going to say this word, they're going to really suck at first. They're going to be downright terrible and absolutely pathetic. But that's the whole point. They're supposed to be bad and at times pathetic. But as long as you're consistently less pathetic than the day before, you will find solutions and accomplish great things. We had a term for someone who was doing the best they could in school, somebody who was not the best but doing better than the year before, and genuinely a nice, well-intentioned person. We called them, other kids called them losers in my day, but now, thanks to you, we have had a better handle on bullying. So I know you are doing the best you can, and you're compensating for what no one bothered to do when I was much younger. Speaking of not being able to let go, we still have like 3 minutes left, right? Speaking of not being able to let go, I would suggest that you harness the older students who are doing much better. Encourage them to be mentors for those who are in the throes of transitional periods, understanding that the innocuous behaviors that were tolerated in middle school are now considered abominable in high school. Somebody who can say, yeah, the same thing happened to me when I was your age. This is how I dealt with it, and these were the consequences I had to live with. let them know that it's not criticism when you have to tell them they're wrong. And in fact, if you can, find an example from your childhood that mimics what they're going through. They're so used to being bullied, insulted, put down, that it will always be at the surface. And you should be very quick to tell them that you're fighting alongside them, and it's not personal, and the mistakes are part of the process. If they're not making any mistakes, they're not trying very hard. And I look forward to being your partner, teammate, and hopefully your friend as we try to conquer these journeys together. Thank you for listening.
Again, I want to thank everybody for their time. That was Jesse Saperstein, who is a very special person, a great orator, and also an author. So thank you very much for your time. The tables are outside. It is Autism Awareness Month. Hope to see you at the Autism Walk on Sunday. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Mr. Mulhern and all our presenters tonight for coming out and sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you.
I would also like to say thank you. Thank you, Alexander, for coming year after year. We've enjoyed hearing you speak each year to us. And Jesse, thank you for coming. And Ginny, if you could please tell Richie we miss him this year. He usually joins us for this speech, and we miss seeing him tonight.
I apologize that he couldn't be here. His dad wasn't well, and he had to be.
Well, please tell him that we asked for him.
I will.
Thank you all for coming. May I have a motion for executive session?
Motion to adjourn to executive session to review the employment history of a particular individual and collective negotiations under the Taylor Law. The board will return as soon as possible.
Second.
Comments or questions?